Good evening, everyone, to the Plan Commission meeting for the September 19, 2023 meeting. The first thing to the order is to call to the meeting to the order. Do we have a quorum? Yes, we have. We have one absentee with excuse, Carol Poole. So next, we are announcement. We have a new Plan Commissioner member, Josh Nacker. So, Josh, welcome to the Commission. I don't know, you want to share who you are with the rest of the Commissioner?
Sure. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Nackert. I've been a Fitchburg resident since 2019. I'm really excited to join this group and learn more and engage in the work you guys do here. I just actually abdicated my spot on the RCC, so the Resource Conservation Commission. Have been doing that for the past 2.5 years. So I'm excited to transition into this role and help out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any question for Josh? No? Okay, welcome. Oh, yes, who?
No, I was just going to say I really welcome him because I'm not the newbie anymore.
Well, that feels ominous, but okay.
No, I'll still act like it, though. Don't worry, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, so next we move to the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comment? No? All those in favor of approving the minutes for the August 15, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Oh, I had to remember that Zach is online. Sorry, Zach. So next we move to public appearances for non-agenda items. Do we have anyone in the audience for non-agenda items? No? Online? Nope. Okay. So next we move to the agenda review. Any comments for the agenda review? Everyone is okay with the agenda? Yes? Okay. So then we move to agenda items. So I need a motion to for the first one is a motion for the minor PDD modification for the Hartan Fields lots 6 to 8 GIP amendment. Oh no, I need to make the comment first. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We'll hold off on motions till after the staff report and discussion. But I don't know if Ned, if you would like to speak to this item, you are welcome.
Yeah, we have Ned, and then we have, I don't know, we have Satnowski online for 5A and B. He's not online? Okay, so he's not online. So Ned is here. So okay.
Good evening.
Hi.
So this is a fairly simple one, I think, in the scheme of things. When we were progressing the original change to the GIP a few months ago, there was a request made or a conversation that was had with city staff about whether we could extend Building C in Lot 6 all the way out to New Blaney Road so that it better addressed the frontage. And we didn't have time to fully address that as part of the GIP application. It was during the time of staff comments, and we had a particular set of time. But after that, we went back and revisited with the architects what it would take, could it work, sort of, et cetera, and identified that it could be done in a manner that would achieve the goals that city staff had asked us to look at. The issue for us was that we were adding 20,000 square feet or so of space to the building, and we had a certain approval for a certain density. So in order to be able to use that space effectively, we asked if we could, in addition to changing the footprint, increase the density slightly from what was approved at 500 to 525 units to 525 to 550, which would allow us at an average size of 1,000 square feet kind of gross per unit to essentially use that space effectively. And so that's basically what we proposed. The minor change to the building outline, which creates that more urban feel, and a similar uplift in the density that reflects that additional space. We believe that we can continue to hit all of the setback, parking, and other ratios that were approved under the GIP. So it's really just the density question and the shape of the building that are being changed in this minor change proposal.
Okay, so I will go with the staff reports right now.
Yep. So Plan Commission originally approved the Hartung Fields GIP back in 2022, and then it came forward for a modification back in May. And so staff believes this is just a minor modification to the original approved SIP. It was mentioned that there was a change in the building layout. Staff did request to remove a parking lot was here and shift the building footprint to maintain a more consistent frontage along the new Blaney Road. And that also, as Ned mentioned, would entail a slight increase in the total number of units for buildings A, B, and C. So 525 to 550. Staff recommends approval of this minor PDD amendment. If Plan Commission agrees that the staff recommendation, you can go ahead and just approve this minor PDD. And I'll take any questions.
Questions?
This, not tied necessarily to this, but because we're increasing the number of units, I assume you're heavy on one bedroom den. That's probably going to be the ratio for the new ones. And I'm just wondering, does the city keep track of how many types of units are being developed? Because, it's a very specific kind of person or tenant, I think, that's going into a market rate one bedroom, and I wonder if we keep track to know if we get saturated with that.
Yeah, we have all the metrics, and I can share with you. I just presented like 2 weeks ago to MABA. I did a presentation, and we put together all the metrics,
Okay.
Yeah, we have that. Any other question? Comment? Okay, so I need someone to move the motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minor PDD amendment for Hartung Fields lots 6 through 8.
Second.
Any other questions, comment? All those in favor of the minor PDD modification, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, sorry. The motion carried. So next we have, is related to the same project, but I need to open the public hearing for the and consideration of the rezone RZ-2522-23, request by Edward Hoyt, agent for the Hartung Brothers, Inc., to rezone property from PDD GIP to PDD SIP, a specific implementation plan to develop a multifamily property on property associated with 2622 Blaney Road. So I open the public hearing. Anyone wants to comment on this? Do you want to?
I'll talk to it whenever you're ready, or I'll take a seat and let anybody else speak who wants to speak
Okay,
first.
so I am closing the public hearing. So now, do you want to make any comments? And then we go to a staff report.
Thanks, Deanna. Do you want to,
do you want to go through this?
Bring up any things or have me comment kind of after you've done your staff report? How would you like to?
I can bring this up. I saw your email, but I'm sorry I didn't get the most
That's right. I figured you had everything. It was just a question of finding the right slides sort of in the process. This is the site plan and engineering plan. It basically lays out that we have kind of a U-shaped building, which is very similar to what we've done at Terrace Point, Avalon, Chala Springs, if you've been to some of our other buildings, with a green roof. So it's a covered kind of patio with greenery and turf, plantings, pergolas, etc. This is slightly different. It's got two little wings that come in, so it's slightly different from our architectural design perspective and faces to the west. We have parking along the west, surface parking to Botanical Road, and then a drive between this building on Lot 8 and Building B, which will be proposed for Lot 7 to the south, all of which adds surface parking to the parking which fills most of the footprint sort of under the building. I don't know if you can go to one of the architectural slides in one of the other documents, probably.
Down or up? Let's see. Like this is the landscape plan, or do you want me to go more to the SIP?
Yeah, I was going to go to the architecturals that shows the, yeah, if you go to the last page of this, and then we'll go back to the front. I think it's unfortunately got the pretty pictures at the back.
Yeah.
And then we'll
It
come back
does.
to the detail.
Okay, and it's working. Okay. You want to show elevations or?
I was going to start with the perspectives at the back, and then we're
Yep.
happy to look at the.
Gotcha. Okay.
There you go. So we were trying to develop a building that would have a reasonable presence and appeal as you come kind of south on Lacey Road and sort of hit that sort of roundabout to turn right. The top picture kind of shows what you'll actually see kind of at the roundabout. So it's 4 levels of residential over 1 level of parking. The slopes here grade up from Lacey Road at about 911 to a height of closer to 923, 924 at the back of the lot. So you've got a reasonable level of fall towards Lacey Road, and you've got a reasonable level of fall from New Blaney Road on the east, the left, down to Botanical on the west. So we have added in a range of storefront windows. We didn't quite get it picked up in time to revise the perspective here, but we're adding some additional landscaping at the front of the building, so at that ground level that'll disguise a little bit of the brick, but it's not a concrete, it's a brick sort of facade that then ties into some vertical elements on the corners, and then some horizontal elements between the levels to try and give it some reasonable presence. That was our goal with this. The perspective on the bottom is from Lacey Road. If you were driving kind of out, kind of to 14 before you take the roundabout sort of north to the intersection with 14, and shows where the lobby will be on that corner with parking along Botanical. And you can kind of see where the gap is to the green roof, kind of in the middle, again with some vertical elements of the darker brick color on those corners to try and highlight and break up the facade as a larger building. So that's the kind of the overall perspective of what we're trying to create. It's similar colors, but different to what we've done at Chalice Springs and Avalon on Index Road. So it has its own distinct feel that we hope to carry through buildings kind of B and C on lots 6 and 7 with a further SIP over time. If you scroll back up, Deanna, just briefly, we have perspectives in here that you can look at or sort of ask questions about, but we're trying to, again, have that mix of materials that gives variation both vertically and horizontally to keep the building kind of interesting with an architectural appeal.
It's not coming.
So
Probably a little
give
too
me
far.
some direction here, Ned.
Yeah, sorry. I think you're too far. Scroll down a little bit
Okay.
through the engineering to the architecturals.
Okay. Probably still in engineering. That looks like
There you go.
architecturals. Okay.
So not terribly sort of sexy, but the parking level from an efficiency perspective, the bottom left corner shows you the lobby on that northwest sort of corner. We ended up shifting the lobby and the entrance to that northwest corner just to get the levels right as part of response to staff comments. We actually did manage to, and I don't think this was captured in the notes, we did add a couple of parking spaces in the process, so we've improved our parking ratio in the process of responding, but it provides a 1.44, kind of 1.45 parking ratio, which with the addition of some surface parking achieves what was requested and approved at the GIP level. On the next page, basically shows that we have the similar kind of green roof with a pergola and a fire pit and a couple of shade sails, some benches, some grass, all sort of lined up with sort of patios for people coming out of their units. And it's a mix of 169 units kind of around the U-shape in a range of 1 bed, 1 plus, 2 plus, 3 bedroom sort of units. So again, similar in style, roughly the same average unit size as we've had in our kind of Fish Hatchery Road sort of projects, but trying to lead the way with the Hartung Field sort of site with the first building to kind of go in. And I'll leave it at there unless somebody has additional questions after the staff notes.
Okay. All right, I will take it up from there. As Ned noted, first story parking level, 4 stories above, 169 units are proposed. The 1.44 parking ratio with the on-street parking is what was approved under the GIP. I will just note that 1.44 parking spaces per unit is well within the consistency of what we have approved in the past. For example, the Addison across the street was 1.34. Staff believes that one of the things that we ran into with, and I'll go and get there, and hopefully my computer will. One of the things that staff had some concerns about was the parking area, and we requested that the parking area be screened from Botanical Drive. That has run into some difficulty because of an MG&E 10-foot easement along this stretch here. Staff has consistently requested some additional screening of that parking area with a mix of shrubs and evergreens. We will continue working with the developer to identify what that looks like and what some of the options are with that MG&E easement. So I wanted to bring that up.
Deanna, do you want me to comment on that just briefly?
Go right ahead.
We did reach out to MG&E as part of the staff comment process, and it takes slightly longer to work things through with sort of MG&E sometimes, but it looks like they're going to be able to reroute the electrical connections to the west side of Botanical, where they also have an easement, and install some conduits during the construction of the road to the transformers that are required for this building. So we believe, subject to their final design, we're going to be able to not have them in that easement, and then on that basis we should be able to provide the kind of the more robust sort of evergreen plantings that staff requested, and we'll keep you all posted as that kind of progresses till we get to a satisfactory solution.
Thank you very much. One other note that staff would like to draw Plan Commission's attention to is that the final plat for Hartung Fields is working its way through the process. Plan Commission did approve the final plat in August. However, the final plat will return to Plan Commission in October after the developers have worked through their stormwater facilities and then the parkland dedication. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that. Of course, Council postponed this item also until the beginning of November.
November is coming?
Yep, it'll come back to Council after Parks in November, the first Thursday in November. Then the final plat will come back to Council on November 14th. So staff recommends approval of the rezone to PDD SIP with eight conditions.
Okay, so any comments?
Questions? Gabriela.
So, assuming that the final plat and everything goes through in November, when do you plan to start actual construction?
We are working on the assumption that we're going to turn ground around the 1st of March. There are a lot of ifs in that in terms of construction costs and finance and all the approvals that you mentioned, but that's the schedule that we are working towards with fingers crossed.
And would that be a project that could be completed within the year, or is that something that...
Typically, our projects are about 15 months, so if you start on the 1st of March, you're open on the 1st of June, which we find to be pretty effective in terms of when people are actually moving during the summer. So we try to kind of be open by the 1st of June, subject to supply chain issues and things like that.
Great, thanks.
Shelley, yes.
So, Deanna, you noted in the memo that the pedestrian access is really going to be connected more with Lot 7. Mm-hmm. But so what if there isn't room or whatever in the Lot 7 parameters to do the access, and really we need some of the space with this Lot 8, and we've already approved it. What happens?
Well, We will have a public access easement on the final plat, that area will be set, and the developers will be sure to make sure that they leave additional room. It's actually shown on this plan. It's a little bit hard to see, but that access pedestrian access easement will be here on the next lot. I know it's a little hard to see, but...
That's not the 8-foot sidewalk. This is an addition. I thought somewhere it said something about an 8-foot sidewalk was.
I think this one is the
Yes.
8-foot sidewalk here.
And that's what would be the access? Mm-hmm. And is that, I thought it was for pedestrian and bicycle, is that large enough for what the original intent was when we approved not requiring the pass through the street? I don't know what TC looks for. And
Not sure about that, but let's check on that, if that width is sufficient.
It can come in the final plat, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other comment, questions?
Just one question.
Okay.
Same as what you've done before, where you have the parking. Some of the parking is tandem.
Yes.
Just because I think it's about 24 or so of them. How is that on your other properties? Do you find residents in 2 and 3 bedrooms are using those, or they sit empty?
We're renting every parking space that we have. We typically incentivize people. We charge slightly less. So if the average parking space is $50 a month, the 2 tandem spaces might be $40 each. So there's a savings for them for the inconvenience, and we haven't had any trouble sort of renting them. It's not always the 2 or 3 bedrooms that actually rent them, depending on
Sure.
Who is of interest or who's looking for the discount. But we do try and limit them to something which reflects the number of 2 and 3 bedrooms, so that just from a theory perspective, that's a reasonable limit. But the actual renters, it varies, but they do all get rented. Typically, we have a waiting list for inside parking. People would rather park inside than outside. I can't imagine why in January, but there is that difference.
So to that end, the outside parking on the property is considered for tenant parking, but also visitors. So is that shared, or do you have visitor-specific spaces that are not being accounted for in our calcs?
There are not visitor-specific parking spaces.
So they can park on the street?
They can.
All right.
Typically, there is some kind of overflow. So if you lease X number of sort of parking spaces, there is a certain number of people who are out of town or away from work at any particular time, and we don't usually have an issue with a couple of visitors here or there, sort of in the process.
So are we ready? So I need a motion to approve.
I'll have approval of rezone request RZ 252223 with the 8 recommendations from staff.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the rezone RZ-2522-23, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we move to the certified survey map ZS-2482-22 by William Clemens, agent from Homeville Fitchburg LLC, to create a new certified survey map to replat one existing lot to create no new lots in order to develop the property with a 4-story, 173-unit multifamily development on property located off Index Road. This one was postponed from July 25 from the Common Council. So what is this?
Yep. So the applicant has requested that Plan Commission also postpone this to the November meeting. This is for the Avalon development, multifamily development. They are proceeding with construction, and they can do so because the certified survey would not change the property boundaries. The certified survey map is intended to address and clean up some various easements. Those easements are still being worked out, so the applicant has requested that Plan Commission delay this once more to November 21st meeting.
So I have a question. How many more time we can delay this?
This is the last one.
Okay. So I need a motion to postpone.
So moved.
No, someone had to say.
I'll move to postpone CS 248222 to the November 21st Plan Commission meeting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of postponing, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, we are postponing. So next we move to 5D. I will open the public hearing and consideration of conditional use permit CU-25-2019-23 request by John Blank, agent of Seminole Tap LLC, to obtain an amusement and recreational services conditional use to allow for an event space at the existing bar and restaurant located on the property associated with 5956 Executive Drive. So, do we have anyone to open in the public hearing? I think we have. Yes, we have one member, Deb New. No? Okay. That she's here to answer question. I don't know if you wish to share in support or opposition, but the comment are Pine Ridge, a community neighborhood, may have concern depending on detail of this permit. We need more information at this time. So that one was the question. So we are going to talk about this. So I am closing the public hearing. So next we're going to a staff report.
Okay, this is a request for a conditional use permit. The proposal is for the space formerly operated as Funk's Pub and Bar and Restaurant, and now the Seminole Tap will be taking over the space and offering similar services with a request to expand some of their services. So Funk's has an existing conditional use permit, and so the request before you this evening is to expand their events to include private parties, and I can go back here, private parties, weddings, showers, receptions, and other similar events. Staff does recommend approval, and staff would be acceptable to expand, and gosh, we can't seem to number because it's 10, would be willing to expand the number
10.
of events. And I apologize, staff cannot seem to number this evening, but there's actually 10 conditions that we're requesting. And we would be willing to reconsider the approximately 9 events per month. And I don't know if you'd want to speak to that, about the number of events per month.
Do you have your form? Form.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, you can do it later, but you can come.
You can come up.
Yeah. You need to say your name, your address.
My name is John Blanke. I'm with the Seminole Tap.
Okay.
Basically, what we're looking for to use that event, Funk's was using it more as a music venue. We're really not in the music business. That's not saying that we wouldn't use that, but when we did it would be more like one guy with a guitar, one girl with a guitar versus the whole band. But we're looking at more as a banquet space. So business meeting, luncheons, where people could do PowerPoint presentations, baby showers, wedding showers, youth events where they can have the trophy presentations, that kind of thing, and rent out the space for that. We would have some of our own functions in there, breakfast with Santa, Mother's Day brunch, Easter brunch, that kind of thing for our own special events. Obviously, some special Packer parties or Badger parties we would have going on with the game, a big screen TV there. But for the most part, that space would be closed down and we would just operate the existing bar that they had. So that's what we were looking to do with the space rather than more of a music venue or more, service oriented where civic organizations can come in and run fundraisers or something like that in that space.
Any question? I think it's great that we are open this space, and I think people are looking forward. And my question is, the capacity is between 80 and 100 people, so.
Correct. I think the fire capacity on that side is 199 people.
Yeah.
But once you get the tables in there for banquets and stuff, especially if it's, you can't really get that many people in there. So I think the fire capacity is actually 199, but when you get large tables set up for larger banquets, you're not fitting that many people in there. So especially if you have gift tables and so on for baby showers and so on, once they get the gift tables in there, you're not going to sit as many people.
So you will say that most of your events are going to be not big events. They're going to be, kind of small, medium events.
Correct. We're, thinking more of a business coming in, running their PowerPoint presentation, and we're serving 50 meals to their groups.
Any comments, Shelley?
Yeah, I question why would we put a limit on the number of events? Intentions change, and you may want, up to 15 events a month or something. So I would be in favor of removing that requirement.
That's what I was going to propose as well.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if we're all good with that, we can make that in the motion. And then we're back to your 9 that staff likes to stick to.
Staff is conservative, but that's fine. You have a question?
Yeah, just for public understanding too, I know it says this in the packet, but just to clarify about the outdoor space that is available at the pub, do you intend to use that for events?
We don't really, because that's attached to the bar side, so that would be more dining for the bar and restaurant versus the event space.
Okay, so it'll be confined to that indoor event
Correct.
space.
I guess they could walk through the bar to the outdoor eating, but you're walking through diners and the bar to get to that space.
Any other comment?
I'll make a
I have
motion.
one question.
Okay, Zach, yes, go ahead.
Is there already a time limit established on that outdoor space in a previous CUP?
The outdoor space is already there. That was part of the existing bar.
But like how late can it be used is what I'm curious about.
Well, that would be under our original premise with the liquor license.
That would probably be under I didn't see anything in the original CUP for Funks.
To answer the question, quite honestly, it's used for dining. So, we're going to probably close the kitchen 9, 10 o'clock. So there's not going to be people out there other than smokers using it to smoke.
I don't see anything
No?
in the prior approvals for the outdoor space.
You certainly could address it as the plan commission.
I will point out that staff has pointed out that we have no music allowed out there already through this CUP.
Yeah, we did, with one of our conditions was no outdoor music live and or amplified or outdoor events.
Any other comments?
Like I said, if this is open until 2 a.m., if you have a wedding, you could have 30 people standing outside being loud and obnoxious. So just wanted to see if there was already something there that says, can't use it past a certain time or not, but fine either way, I guess.
You certainly can make in addition to the conditions, Staff did not find a previous condition for the previous CUP, but
That would be under the original premise, the original liquor license, correct? That was
it
approved
might
last
be
year.
under the
Yeah.
liquor license, not the CUP.
Because one of the conditions does say the permit does not allow for outdoor music or outdoor events.
Yeah. For that
For me, that
space,
seems
yeah.
pretty clear to me that that's
So
not.
maybe that covers it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
Correct, but that's two different spaces.
okay.
So we won't have outdoor music or outdoor events for the conditional use permit, which is on the one side. The other side is already the bar and restaurant area where the outdoor space already is. And that was under the original liquor license.
Okay, so, okay,
Just to that point, you have one address though, so.
yeah.
Correct.
So no matter what, this is not taking into account, you're thinking of it very much as here's my business over here, here's my business over here. Conditional use is for the address. So just want to make sure that that's clear that whatever we apply here applies to both of your outdoor spaces.
Well, we only have one outdoor space.
Oh, you only have, okay,
The bar.
okay, got it.
Okay, so Deb, do you want to make any
I
comment?
guess that's our concern as a neighborhood, is the outdoor noise or whatever that would carry through. And I guess that's why we showed up in terms of a neighborhood across the street. And if there were, I didn't know what an amusement and recreational permit was. I could imagine this fair or something going on. I didn't know. So I was like, we should come to this. So that's my concern, is the noise level
Okay.
being right across the street. So,
Yeah, but it's gonna be contained indoor in that space.
okay. And then the about the wedding, I didn't even think about that, and people being outside. Thank you for that, gentlemen, because I didn't think of that one. So I guess there again,
The space isn't really big enough to have a wedding.
Okay,
Yeah.
It would be
okay.
more of a wedding, like a rehearsal dinner
Okay.
on a Friday night. I mean, once you get a head table in there, a dance floor, and whatever,
Yeah.
your wedding would be 12 people.
Okay, just so they're not rowdy and loud. I'm fine with that. I was concerned about the noise level being
We were
right
thinking
across
more
the street.
Baby showers and wedding showers and
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
thing.
I mean, I would imagine concerts are actually more likely to have the type of spillover that Zach is referring to. Have you seen that? Have you had issues with?
No,
funks in
we
the
have
past?
not. We
Okay.
have not. But like I said, I didn't know what an amusement permit
Fair.
was,
Okay.
so I panicked. So that's why I'm here. So,
No, it's not like that, so, okay.
okay.
So thank you both, and then are we ready to vote? But then we are gonna remove number 3, isn't it? One of the conditions?
Yes, technically it's number 3,
Yeah.
because it's mislabeled as 2, so
Okay.
we'll just remove that.
Remove that, okay, who is gonna move the,
I'll move to approve conditional use permit CU-2519-23 with the 9 conditions noted by staff, removing the third one.
Second.
okay, all those in favor of, where are we at? Oh, the final plat? No, is it one? No, sorry.
Conditional use.
The conditional use CU-25-19-23, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carry. Okay, thank you. So next, we move to 5E. I will open the public hearing and consideration of the rezone RZ -2521-23, request by Tony Prestigiacomo, agent of Prestigiacomo Joint Trust, to rezone property from R-HA to BJ, general business, to allow for commercial uses on property associated with 5130 East Verona Road. So we have Tony Prestigiacomo online. So Tony, do you want to make any comment?
Thank you. Not at this moment. I think the application is clear.
Okay, so we will ask you a question if we need, okay? So I am
Thank you.
closing, thank you. I am closing the public hearing, and now we are moving to a staff comment.
The property in question is an outlot, and an outlot of the plat Willow Run, which was done several decades ago. The rezone is just for the non-conforming portion of the building and the site. The rest of the building and site is already, and I guess I should have got my map for you all. So the rest of the site, the building actually extends across the two parcels. This is the outlot in question. The larger lot is actually zoned BG, and the applicant is requesting to rezone this outlot that already has existing development, including an existing building, from RHA to Business General. This was the original location for Picasso's Pizza. And a restaurant could remain in this facility as a grandfathered. Of course, a restaurant is not consistent with residential zoning, but would be grandfathered in this case. The applicant is proposing to rezone to BG that would allow a wider range of uses in the existing building. Staff does note that because this particular parcel is an outlot, and outlets cannot be built upon, that it is still a non-conforming parcel. But will probably have to be addressed at a later date. Staff recommends approval of the rezone with 4 conditions. And I'll take questions. This one might be confusing.
Yes, can you explain me what is a non-conforming parcel?
Yeah. So, what I mean by that, and I guess I got to go back here. What I mean is that an outlot cannot be built on per our land division ordinance. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there's a building on an outlot, and so that is what means it is non-conforming.
So how did the outlot get established after the building? Like, how did this come to pass?
It was
this happened a long time ago when the city was just becoming a city. Right about that time in 1983, 84, it just kind of slipped by the planners and the building inspection team at that time. The original plans didn't make the distinction between the two parcels as they are shown today. And so that's kind of where we're at with it.
Excuse me, Deanna.
Yeah.
But at the time, it all was approved. Is that correct?
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm. Yes, there was approval to build the building.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So I have a question, Tony, for you. Are you planning to develop anything, or you have in that? Do you have any?
No, we are not planning to do further development at this time. We have the space that was occupied by Picasso's Pizza that is empty and has been empty for, oh my gosh, maybe 5 years. We would like to rent that space. We do not want to rent that space to a restaurant or a food service provider. Based on our prior experience. So we'd like to have the flexibility to rent it to another tenant that would be considered, I guess, commercial or retail or office.
Okay, it makes sense.
We're not changing the building. We just would like to put a tenant in the space that has been empty for 5 years.
Yeah. I think that would be great.
And we don't have anyone, by the way.
Okay.
It's not, there's no secrets. There's no one waiting in the wings to take the space.
Any other questions, comment? No? Are you ready to vote? So I need someone to move this.
I move rezone RZ 2521-23 with the 4 conditions attached by staff.
And Deanna, what are the 4
Second.
conditions, please, just so I'm clear?
Certainly, I can certainly just read those out, Tony. The first one
Thank you.
is no other permit or approval is waived or deemed satisfied except for the approval provided in this action. The new lot shall conform to the standards of, I should say, this lot shall conform to the standards of the BG, business, general zone, and not create any new nonconformities. If nonconformities exist in the property, they shall not be augmented in any form. Any changes to the architecture or site design shall require an architectural design review, and all signage shall comply with the requirements of Chapter 26.
And I think maybe we accept a
Thank you.
friendly amendment to just change those couple of words as you mentioned.
Yep,
Is that okay?
we do need to change those.
Okay, so
So number 2 will change to business general. And then it's actually not a new lot. It's actually an existing outlot.
okay, all those in favor?
I do have one question, Deanna.
Yeah,
and
sure.
all. On the property, there is a, I don't know what you call it, maybe a monument sign. I wouldn't go that far. But there is a sign, and it has the name of the liquor store tenant, which has been there for 40 years. And then there are some empty panels. If we do get a new tenant, I don't understand the requirement for conform with the signage. A new tenant, as long as it fit within that panel that's there, would be able to use that sign panel?
Yes, Tony, they
Sorry,
would.
I asked that question, but I just want to be clear what that means.
Of course, Tony, yes. We're not going to force you to bring existing signage into compliance. Any new signage will have to come into compliance. You may replace the individual business signs that are just within your existing sign. So for a new business,
thank you very much.
you can just put in the name into your existing sign.
Got it, but no new signage, and I completely understand. Thank you, Deanna.
Sure.
Okay, so are we ready to approve this with the 4 amendment and the changes from, business professional to general, and the outlot shall conform? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, we already.
I was the second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. So next we move to 5F. So this is the final plat request, FP-2520-23. It is 7 addition to 9 Spring. I have someone.
Yeah, Justin.
I have
Barty.
Sam Party. He's online?
Yes, good evening.
Hi.
Before you tonight, we have the final plat for 7th edition of 9 Springs. This plat was conditionally approved in August of last year. The recording of the plat was delayed because portion of these lots are tributary to a future regional stormwater basin that the city's building to the north, which has been delayed until early next year. So we are just requesting reapproval of this plat at this time.
Can you tell us who you are representing and your full name and your address?
I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, Justin Zamparty with Veerbecker representing Avante Properties. Address is 999 Four-Year Drive, Madison, Wisconsin.
Thank you. And I received an email also in support of this item. It says, my name is Caleb Holten, and I would like to submit a comment in support of the agenda item listed in the subject of this email, that is item F, 5F, for the final plat. I say, I'm sorry for not going through the online interface for this kind of thing, but when asked for the meeting date, it's a I don't know. No, this is not relevant. They say, my support for the item is due to the nice way the denser portion of the 9 Spring development seem to be flowing into the denser parts of the Terravesa development and the great benefit of dense living. I also liked that this thing is going next to what I think is Fitchburg land, meant for a train station in the future. Please correct me if I am wrong about the land that Fitchburg owns directly to the west on the railroad tracks of the Green Tech Lands lot in reference. Dense development will not help Fitchburg fund the station and keep it funded after it's built. I don't understand. So I had to read it. Okay, staff report.
As Justin mentioned, last year, Plan Commission did approve this final plat with conditions. The delay was that, and I can let me go grab my screen. The city, you all might remember the sod farm, right? So the city is developing a stormwater system on the old sod farm, and part of this site will be serviced by that stormwater facility. And things have taken a little bit longer to sort through the details of the stormwater facility, and so this final plat was delayed. There are no major changes from what was originally approved, with the exception of renaming Balboa Street to Balboa Pass. The applicant has requested that street name change, the removal of a 12-foot public utility easement on lots 67 and 68, and then a bump out of a 20-foot wide public storm sewer and public pedestrian bike path easement on lot 66. Those easement changes were requested by Public Works. Staff recommends approval with 8 conditions.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, questions? Gabriela?
Can we just talk about the next steps after this final plat request? Like, what's the future for this lot after this point?
Very good. So there are actually 6 buildable lots, and those are on the backside of Stanley Park Place. Once the plat is approved and recorded, the developer will move forward with construction documents and the construction process for building Stanley Park Place and Balboa Pass. Once that infrastructure is accepted, then they will proceed to, this is smart code. So the next step after the completion of the infrastructure would be to submit for Article 5. These lots are proposed for, the 5 lots are proposed for multifamily right now, and then a kind of community recreation center on this middle lot. So then it would go to Article 5 and then building permit.
But Article 5 and the permits are going directly to, they're not coming back
That's
to...
all staff,
Staff,
yes.
they're not coming back to plan, okay?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, so that is an important distinction in Smart Code. After the final plat, the Smart Code applications do not go back to Plan Commission.
Because it's a Smart Code. It's different.
So the next steps you're stating are really only for that kind of westward portion then. So these 2 outlots that are created would have to come back then again for kind of future segmentation?
Yep, they definitely will. Outlots are not buildable under our land division ordinance, so definitely the outlots will need to come back to Plan Commission.
For rezone.
No, they'll need to come back for CSM.
CSM,
Or
yeah.
probably a CSM. They'll probably come back as CSM for you. Nope, the rezone is, the zoning is smart code. There won't be a need for any rezoning here.
Okay, and when is the intention? No, that one is from Justin. When is so what is the intention to start building here after everything is approved? Is next year?
Correct. I believe the city basin is going out for bid in early next year with construction, in 2024. We are finalizing our city approvals for the roadway engineering, and then we will plan to start construction next spring as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other question, Gabriela?
Just since this is the first, big smart code thing that I've encountered, is there any mechanism for us to, because obviously typically with these developments we see the plans as it moves forward, and I understand with smart code there's very specific layout for what it looks like, so theoretically we know what this will generally look like because of the smart code. But do you ever bring this back just for reference, like refer it out so we know what's happening as an update?
I have inconsistently last year just brought back kind of a list of our recent smart code approvals, at least our big ones, and I'd certainly be able to, in my department report, provide an update of what has been improved or what we're expecting to be approved. We certainly could do that.
Yeah, if you could do that, I'd really appreciate kind of regular updates on what's happening.
We could do so.
Okay, any other questions, comment? Are we ready to vote? Okay, so I need a motion.
I'll move approval of final plat request FP 2520-23 with the 8 conditions laid out by staff.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of the final plat request, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, thank you. So 5G is, we're going to postpone, isn't it?
You won't have anybody for this.
Okay.
So this is no public hearing, and I don't expect anybody is here for this. The applicant has requested to postpone this. This is the RV, Marquardt RV business on MM, and they're looking to do a CSM to add some easements between the 2 existing lots. Staff realized that there was some problems with the setbacks and a rezone was required. So we're asking to postpone this CSM till October 17th so we can sort out the rezone and setback requirements.
Okay, thank you. So I need a motion to postpone.
I move to postpone the certified survey map request CS 2518-23 till the October meeting.
Second.
All those in favor of postponing, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. So next is item 5H. Is the ADR from Kamika Expansion. So I have received a couple of emails. Oh, thank you. So I received a couple of emails in opposition of this. One is Robert Sorko. Next is Kim Workington in opposition. Jill Showers in opposition. Melissa McCormack in opposition. Kerry Hanson in opposition. Kelly Miller in opposition. Diana Solko in opposition. Andy Joe in opposition. Lisa Hildbrand in opposition. Sagar Awati in opposition. Alexandra Carvala in opposition. Amy Jungers in opposition. Christine Fleming in opposition. Mark Fleming in opposition. Kimberly Rios in opposition. Alice Mickensall in opposition. Adam Purcell in opposition. Shagar Ambrusali Awati in opposition. Kathleen Hauser in opposition. Michael Hanson in opposition. That's it. And then we have here Jess Rudebash. His wish to speak and is in support. And then Nicholas Kirst. Yep. He wishes to speak and in support. So go ahead.
Okay, I'm Jeff Rudebush with Rudebush Development and Construction. We're the landlord of the Kanika Instruments building. Back in 2016, we brought this before you. They had an addition planned for this property at that time. There was some conjecture at the time of when we brought it the first time whether they were going to build the entire facility day one or whether they would add on to it later. They elected to add on to it later, and today is what we have before you is that addition. Good news is their business has been growing and expanding, so they thus need to expand their facility. So we've got a 5,280 square foot addition proposed on the northeast corner. All of the parking, stormwater infrastructure was all done for a full build out at the time of original construction, knowing that was very likely. So there's really no parking lot changes that go along with it. All the materials will match predominantly with what's there, so it will look like it was never added onto is the goal. As far as we will abide by the noise, there's a noise ordinance in this particular parcel to the neighborhood to the north. We will abide by that. And when we do a submittal for building plan review, we will submit the preliminary report from the sound engineer, and then once we are completed with the project, as we did with the first phase of the build-out, we will then have the testing done and submit the final report upon completion.
Yeah, I want to clarify that I forgot to mention that it was one person, I think Mr. Sorko, that he mentioned that he was opposed because of the noise. All the other people that say in opposition, they didn't clarify why they were opposed. I imagine it's the noise, you know what I mean? So,
okay.
So what I want to clarify is only that, it's no other thing. So I'm going to make a comment. I remember when I was in council when we approved this, yeah. And I was in favor of that, and I am very thankful that you decided to stay in Fitchburg and you are expanding in Fitchburg, and I think that the noise level can be addressed. It's not like a big factor for deny this. And I want to say thank you for continue doing business in Fitchburg, and I am in support of this expansion.
Thank you.
So, staff report?
Yep. So, this is an almost 7,000 square foot expansion. As the applicant mentioned, this expansion was always slated with the original approval, with the original ADR. The expansion was already proposed. Therefore, there is no need for additional parking involved, or staff has no concerns with that. The addition will include offices, lab space, shops, workstation, a shipping dock. And staff did receive emails today, and as you noted, the notes in opposition, and staff believes that it was all related to the noise issue. So staff is proposing to add an additional condition for a total of 8 conditions. I'll read out that condition. Whoops, let me go so I don't mess everybody up here. I'll read out the additional condition that will should be able to address the concerns with noise. So prior to issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall provide a preliminary sound study for review by the city, demonstrating that the sound levels do not exceed 42.5 dBA. The applicant shall also supply a sound study for review and approval by the city, showing that the project does not exceed 42.5 dBA at the property line with Quarry Hill neighborhood after construction is substantially complete and prior to certificate of occupancy. The other note that staff has requested some additional landscaping that would be along that between the along the property line that is shared with the Quarry Hill neighborhood.
So this one is going to be a number 9?
Yep. Oh no, I already have landscaping in there, number 3. So we'll have a total of 8 conditions with the addition of the sound requirements. And staff does recommend approval.
Gabriela?
And I did just want to note, because there were some emails exchanged that we were copied on, but the rep from the Quarry Hill neighborhood, after you shared that condition, he did say that it addresses our concerns. With that condition in place, we do support the project moving forward. So just wanted to clarify that. So I know that there was that opposition, but we addressed that during the day.
It was before, and then we clarified, and then they sent that email. I forgot to. Thank you for doing that, Gabriel. I forgot that.
And I also just want to say one more. Kamika is a fascinating company, and I believe you're still the only producer of atom probe technology in the. You were for a long time.
I am not Kamika.
Oh, you're not. You're the landlord.
We own the building. So.
Yeah. My understanding is.
But yes, it is very cool.
Yeah, they're the only company. I believe they're the only company in the world making atom probes, which are fascinating, really, really high end, doing the most. Yeah, they're basically like looking at things on the scale of atoms, doing some chemical analysis on that scale. It's really, really fascinating, and the instruments go all over the world because they're so specialized. So really, really cool that we have something like that here in Fitchburg, and I'm excited to hear that they're expanding and planning to stay right here in our city.
Any other comment, questions? Okay, so I need a motion to approve this with the 8 conditions.
I'll move to approve ADR. Did I just say ADR Kamika expansion? Is that? Okay, I move to approve ADR Kamika expansion with the 8 conditions as outlined by staff, including that 8th one that we just talked about.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the ADR, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
So next we move to, I need a motion to approve resolution. Oh, no. Okay. No, Diana, can you explain about resolution?
I'll just briefly just say this is the new senior living development on Wilshire. And what is being done here is just accepting a public pedestrian bike path easement on lot 53 that will be between the 2 lots, between the 2 buildings, new buildings for senior living. So staff recommends approval of accepting that public easement.
That one is between the 2, isn't it? Okay.
There always has been a path there.
Yeah, it always was with grass.
Yes.
Now it's, Any other, Stephen, do you have a question? No? Okay. I need a motion.
I will move to approve resolution R-156-23.
Second.
All those in favor of the resolution say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, so next one. Diana.
Yep. Okay. This one actually came before you once already, but we postponed it, and there's needed to be some changes. So this has to do. This is a subdivision improvement agreement between the city and Promega for their USONA development. It's a big building that's going up just off Gunflint Trail and Research Park. You can see it right over here. And so this will lay out the path to completing an 8-foot wide bike path in this section along Gunflint Trail. And then second phase would be another 8-foot wide bike path. And then this will allow to connect to the Capital City Trail up here. This section then would be a sidewalk that would extend up to Glacier Valley. So staff is, mostly Public Works staff has been working with Promega to identify the next steps for this connectivity.
So phase 2 is practically what? Bike path?
Yep, 8-foot wide bike path along here.
So it's a sidewalk and then it's converted to a bike path and then we convert it again. It's transition to a sidewalk.
I think the thinking is that the bikes would, the multi-use paths would extend. There's another multi-use path. It's kind of hard to see here, but there's another multi-use path here that connects to the Capital City Trail. So the idea is that multi-use users would hop on the trail instead of the sidewalk. That doesn't really make. Oh, you can't really see it on there. Okay. Let me see if I can.
As someone who bikes this area, it actually makes a lot of sense.
Isn't there already a multi-use trail on the other side of the road?
Yes, there's a sidewalk, I think.
Yeah, no, there is one because
no, there's a multi-use trail that runs up Gunflint towards Promega already. Why are we adding a second one?
Because when you run the derby, you have to go there.
I don't understand why this is being pushed. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a whole lot of additional information. This was something that was negotiated between Promega and Public Works, is what I can tell you.
Okay.
I see no reason to approve this.
For these types of improvements, so like this is paid for by USONA and Promega, right? There's no cost to the city. It's just an agreement.
Yeah.
They do the public improvement, and then over time, like the city takes ownership of it.
Yes. When we accept it, yes, council will accept infrastructure such as this.
But here it says phase 2 will allow for the installation of the city sidewalk. So it's the city sidewalk. We pay for the sidewalk?
To city specifications.
Yeah.
No, under a subdivision improvement agreement, which is what we're talking about here, the developer does the installation of the infrastructure, and then once it's met with our standards, the city accepts.
Accept it. Okay.
So the sidewalks are an addition.
Zach, yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to understand why do we need a sidewalk here?
I think
when there's one on the other side and a multi-use path already. It just seems like we want to chop down trees for fun.
I think that has been part of the discussion about trees here, and unfortunately, Zach, I haven't been involved. I do know that it is standard, just our standards here in the city to have sidewalks or paths on both sides of the street.
But my question is how many trees we are going to remove for doing this?
I do not have an answer to that.
So I would like to know that.
So I know this area well, and it's a really nice green space and wooded area, and I would argue for retaining that if we have a sidewalk on the other side, especially in the current state. I would hate to see trees taken down unnecessarily for a secondary sidewalk.
Mike, do you know why we are doing this sidewalk in this side of the road in the Ozona?
You're on show now. It's all you, Mike.
I think it's per the subdivision improvements agreement and some of the timing that's required for that. And we're talking the one on the west side of the road, right, with the retaining wall that would impact the trees that are there adjacent to the retaining wall. So we're trying to kind of figure out a balance, here.
But are we planning to remove trees?
I think if eventually if the sidewalk has to go in, I think there would have to be removal of trees because I think it impacts the retaining wall and everything. And that's why we're giving them some time, is my understanding, I think, to do some further analysis of that.
So this one can be delayed, isn't it?
I think they're looking for the approval of this tonight, the agreement, because I think that impacts the occupancy date for the USONA Institute.
Why is there sidewalks?
Well, it's like
because
any
we have to-
subdivision, whether it's Highfield Reserve or any of them, they have to
But
put in
I
sidewalks.
am asking the question, how many trees we're going to remove, because I didn't know that we were removing tree.
And
Yeah,
we have
I don't-
subdivisions within Fitchburg that currently lack sidewalks on either side of the road. So what's the universal application for this?
New development.
Yeah, new development, they need to have sidewalk.
On both sides, that's just uniform policy no matter what, no limit, no expectations for other considerations like this?
Yeah, as far as I know, new development, sidewalks on both sides. Yeah, this is a little bit different situation. Yeah, I don't. Certainly, Plan Commission doesn't have to approve. I mean, you can send staff back to identify how many trees and stuff. Go ahead.
Well, first I was going to ask why the delay, but I guess my other point I want to make, and I made it in an earlier meeting with Deanna, is, when we have issues that come to us that require the expertise of, like in this case, Public Works, or we need somebody to answer our questions, I would like to suggest that a staff person be here to answer these questions, because it's not fair for Deanna, for us to expect Deanna to know the answer to every department's issues in the city. So, I mean, if Public Works is the one that's asking for these things, it seems like we should converse with Public Works about it.
Gabriela?
Yeah, I'll echo that, Shelley. I think that's a great suggestion. But I'm just looking at the Google Maps of this area. I haven't been over there in a very long time. And yes, this is a completely wooded lot, and also doesn't seem to be. It's essentially not residential along the street. There's the school, and then there's going to be the one facility. I don't know if there's plans to completely clear cut that wooded area. I hope not. Is that all owned by Promega? Okay, so and they seem to have. They care about sustainability, so I would think that they probably wouldn't clear cut that. But given this, I understand the value of installing sidewalks in neighborhoods. I think that there's a lot of value in doing that as a matter of course with redevelopment. In this specific scenario, I'm not sure that that's the right call. And I think we should be able to make decisions like that when special circumstances arise. Now, we could vote this down, but I might suggest we postpone this, because if we vote it down, then there's no reporting back to us about these additional, considerations. So I guess I'd propose that we could postpone this to the next meeting and maybe get some more input from Public Works, and maybe also find out what the mechanism would be to refuse this. Like, what would we have to do to make this not happen? Like, I don't know if there's like some sort of process we have to go to make this, to stop this.
I have a question. Where is the entrance to that building? Is that on, where is it?
It's coming off of here. It's kind of, can you see that?
Yeah,
right now?
so it's coming over.
So it's coming off of Gunflint. This will be the end. This is a
Looks
construction
like Woods
entrance.
Hollow Road.
So that area, okay.
Yeah, so again, isn't there sidewalk up to that driveway? I mean, I agree with the assessment here and the fact that I would never want to keep them from occupancy. I'm excited for this opportunity and for that institute. But like I said, I know that area well and don't feel that another sidewalk is going to benefit or facilitate that development at all. I think people will be able to use it, and I think we'll all appreciate the wooded lane more than we will a second sidewalk. So whatever mechanism we would need to consider that as an exemption or our recommendation or whatever that looks like, I think would be my strong recommendation as well.
One thing that I would point out is that we may want to at least look at extending from where it currently ends, or right along Woods Hollow, to where their entrance will be.
Oh, yeah.
Because as you pull that map up, look at the Woods Hollow Children's Center. So we didn't exclude it for them when they built it. They were forced to put in that sidewalk that went to absolutely nowhere. Now we're building to the property right next to it. If we say, well, you don't need to, that's a huge slap in the face of that daycare facility.
So as someone with kids there, I will state that they love those woods and they love all that stuff. So I'll be honest in the fact that I actually think a facility like that would love to see a policy revised in a way that doesn't punish people in the way that they were punished to maybe have to put in a sidewalk that they felt was unnecessary and take out more trees. So I would counter that actually, and I'm sure we could get them to their input if they'd like to, but they walk over there all the time and they love those woods, and so I would actually counter with a different perspective there.
I would just say we want to at least look at that for accessibility into the USANA Institute, if that's where their entrance point is going to be, that we have a sidewalk that gets up to their property line, and that they would then, if you're, especially given the usage of USANA, if you have anyone that is going to go for a walk off of that property, they then have to cross that street to be able to get to any kind of a walking path. So I appreciate what everyone's saying, and I do think that we should postpone this. I just point that out, that there might be a use case right there up to their point, but not continuing that on to further to the northeast, or northwest, excuse me.
I like that concept, Stephen.
Would we be able to recommend like a controlled crosswalk at the driveway to get to that one across the street? So that we're, I completely agree with that. I want it accessible, especially knowing what that institute will be used for and the accessibility for the neighborhood. Impervious surfaces, removal of trees. There's a lot of things, especially in a nice area like that, that if we've got the infrastructure already, minimal access, minimal facilitated access, I guess would be my mindset.
Okay, Michael.
Deanna, I don't have the language right in front of me here, but wasn't there some language in there about some further analysis and consideration of that by ProMega?
What I understand is they are not going to do this now. The idea is to do it, they have until 1 year to do this, until
right.
September 24.
And I thought during that time that there was going to be some further analysis of what would be the impact of that sidewalk extension, there to the retaining wall and to the trees there. So I thought it was going to give us some time to kind of look at that a little bit further and determine the impact of that.
I'm not sure. I mean, in the in the text for the resolution, just our text that we received from OnBase, Phase 3 will need to be constructed prior to development of lands adjacent to Lot 1 of the CSM when sidewalk and/or bike path is constructed on Glacier Valley, north or south of Lot 1, or within 48 months of recording the First Amendment, whichever comes first.
Okay.
So I'm not familiar, but I'm happy to do so. I think it would be fair if you'll let staff do some additional checking on this and go back to Public Works to understand better what they're thinking. We'll take your concerns about protecting the trees. We'll look at what's possible here, if it's possible to construct this portion of sidewalk without impacting trees. I really can't tell you that at this point. We certainly can look at a controlled crosswalk. That is a traffic discussion that is way out beyond my capabilities here about where controlled crosswalks can go. But we certainly can, if you would so choose to postpone to next month, we can certainly request someone from Public Works to jump on the meeting and at least bring you additional information.
And I think the other thing is what I am hearing for some of the commissioners is why do we need to have a sidewalk north of Glacier Valley? You know what I mean? Where the roundabout, why? Because there is no, there are no future construction on the, I don't know how to call it, the west part, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And there is a sidewalk and a bike path on the other side, you know what I mean? So the question is, Why do we need to do that? That it's not going to be used.
Yep. I have noted your question.
Okay.
I'll move to postpone Resolution R-16023. And should, October or November, Deanna?
Wait, Mike has another question.
I'm just wondering, I was going to say I'd like to maybe check in with City Administrator Brecklin, if I could just kind of excuse myself and go out in the hall, because I'm wondering, I think he's got the latest information as far as the occupancy date that they're looking at for the USONA Institute, because this wouldn't come back until October, right?
But why?
October
My question
17th.
is why this sidewalk has anything to do with the occupancy? You know, they don't need a sidewalk to occupy.
Because of the subdivision improvements agreement.
Can we
Yeah.
amend this
Yeah.
thing and remove that?
Yeah, I don't know what the discussions are. I guess so the subdivision improvement agreement is literally that. It's the agreement for whatever infrastructure. So the developer has to do what's in that subdivision improvement agreement, and it needs to be addressed before the certificate of occupancy.
Yeah.
If you so choose to pull out that sidewalk out of the subdivision improvement agreement,
Okay.
I mean, that you certainly could do. That this amendment to the subdivision improvement agreement would just change. But I haven't been part of those discussions to tell you.
But can we do that? Can we remove that from the subdivision language? Can we remove this? You know, I think that.
I think we can make a recommendation to do so.
Okay. I don't know if you
And it
want
could
this
go to
to
council.
move. You know what I mean?
And then council could take the final action on it.
Yeah. Yes, you could certainly take action and say that you wish to amend this proposal of the sidewalks and make a recommendation to amend the subdivision improvement agreement. So
is there an agreement that talks about sidewalks and everything, and this first amendment was designed simply to change the timing? So do we have an agreement already signed saying you have to have sidewalks here?
yes.
Okay.
I don't know what that, but there is already an agreement. I don't know the details of that agreement.
So
There
you don't know-
already is an agreement that stands. And I would guess that it has sidewalks.
Right, because this seems designed solely to change the timing, not the substance of what's supposed to go into the subdivision.
I think that's what's coming up.
I agree, that's how I
We
read
don't
it,
want, Promega doesn't want to take all those trees out right away. I don't see the further study piece in here, so I'm not sure.
Well, there's one, I don't understand what it says, but it was added language, a concrete terrace shall be installed if the terrace is less than 3 feet in width. Is that what the further study is as to whether or not there needs to be a concrete terrace? And I don't know where it goes and if it affects the trees or anything,
Okay.
but.
Well, the terrace is between the sidewalk and the curb. And I suppose if that gets too small, it doesn't make sense to have just a teeny little piece of grass. So that's what that is referring to.
Okay, so
We'll
it's
put
not what
concrete
you're
there.
thinking?
No,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Zach, do you have any additional
we-
comment?
Well, I was just gonna say, we obviously don't want to punish USONA for our poor planning here. A sidewalk here doesn't make sense. So is there a way to get them in, but then come back and address this, in the future? Like, can they request a change to the agreement?
Yeah, we can do that, isn't it?
I mean, certainly you can make, Plan Commission can say, hey, we don't want this sidewalk on the west side. We don't think it's necessary. And then that would indicate to staff that it doesn't go into the First Amendment to the subdivision improvement agreement. It would just clarify what's expected for a certificate of occupancy.
So I'm just looking at the language of it, and so it says Phase 1 shall be installed and accepted prior to the issuance of any occupancy permits. So Phase 1 is related to the occupancy, and then it says Phase 2 shall be installed prior to September 1, 2024. Sidewalk in Phase 3 shall be installed and accepted at the time of development on lands adjacent to Lot 1 in the plat, within 3 months of a sidewalk and or bike path being constructed on Glacial Valley Road north or south of Lot 1, or within 48 months of the recording of the First Amendment, whichever comes first. So that would be farther down the line, I guess.
But where is the sidewalk are in phase 2 or 3?
I think it's in all of them, but phase 1 is that one we were talking about that goes from like the Woods Hollow Children's Facility up to kind of their entrance. Phase 2 is kind of around their entrance, I think, based on what I was looking at the map. And then phase 3 is that wooded area that we were discussing in more depth.
Phase 3 is coming late.
But there might already be a requirement for sidewalks in the original subdivision agreement.
And I think that's the problem that has brought us here today.
Right. This is only timing. This isn't the substance of whether or not there should be a sidewalk.
But of course, the First Amendment
Can do anything, right?
Yes.
But it's right.
Yeah.
But you almost need to see what's in the standing agreement.
So this one is lawyer Shelley talking.
Let me just see.
Have you talked to Chad? Have you gotten...
Yeah, you should go and talk to Chad to see what he says.
You should go talk to Chad.
Well, and I guess I'm a little confused to Mike's point because it says that the phase 1 needs to be installed prior to the issuance of occupancy permits. So, I mean, they still have to install the sidewalk before they get their occupancy permits.
I think that's why the timing of this is very crucial, because they want to get the occupancy as soon as possible.
But yeah, this is the question. But we can do that. We can give you that. But they say, okay, we have concern about phase 3. We want to know more about what how many trees are you going to remove? Why you need to do it? Because I don't know. I agree with Zach, and I don't know the need for this sidewalk there. To be honest, I don't know. Maybe there are future.
Yeah, and it's that phase 3 that's the biggest problem, because that's where you have the largest slope coming off of the hill there. So that's where you're going to run into the biggest issue. So I don't know. Maybe we can just amend it that they don't need phase 2 and phase 3. They just build phase 1 and be done with it.
Yeah, can we do that?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, council will have the last say.
I mean, do we? I feel like they're submitting even phase 1 out of requirement, right? They want to meet requirement to meet occupancy and do it as quickly as possible. And so I'm very much in favor of saying, certainly you don't have to do phase 2 or 3, but I'm wondering if we find a way to give them occupancy and get their feedback on whether or not phase 1 is even desired.
So to answer your question, Shelley, this is the first, this is the actual SIA, and it requires a 5-foot sidewalk to city specifications for all lots within the plat or within the CSM. So the standing is 5-foot sidewalks on everything.
Yeah,
so the First Amendment, that's what we're working on now. However you would like to.
This amendment actually widens it out even, because if it's 5-foot sidewalks, this amendment says it moves it from a sidewalk to an 8-foot bike path.
Yeah,
So it actually expands.
That one is the bike path is that, is phase 2.
I think the sidewalk in phase 3 would be the 5-foot.
It says phase 1, 8-foot. Wow.
Right,
Oh,
and
really?
so, here it would be, and then phase 2 would be the 8-foot. My assumption is phase 3 would be the 5-foot.
So it's not an addition. You don't think this phase, when the 8-foot is an addition to the sidewalk? Because I thought the 8-foot keeps referring to the bike
it would be a
path.
replacement. What we're doing is specifying more specifically what's in the original SIA. So what you got, Mike?
And just to clarify, there's an 8-foot already along the entire length of the other side of the street?
I think so.
I don't.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I
looks
have
like.
run that. I have biked that.
Yes.
I mean, yes, look at that.
Well,
So there's an 8-foot and a sidewalk on one side? That's what you're saying?
no, this would be the curb. There's an 8-foot on the other side.
Mike, do you have any?
I didn't get to reach Chad. just got voicemail.
He's in
There.
the soccer game.
Yeah. But the first phase takes the sidewalk to where the USONA entrance is.
But phase 1 is not like a regular sidewalk, it's like an 8-foot bike path, it's look like.
And then phase 2 is the one that would impact I think it was trying to fit it within the terrace with the 3-foot without impacting the retaining wall and the trees.
What is the
there
retaining wall?
to see if we could fit it in there. What's
Where
that?
is the retaining wall that you're talking about, a retaining wall?
I'm not exactly sure where it is, but a retaining wall is a change of slope. So you have your sidewalk here, the grade is up here, so you'll have a short wall. It's just a retaining wall. Could be stone.
But they're going to do that.
That's already there at this point in time. It runs north and south there in kind of the hashed area in the red.
Oh, it's on the face.
Where?
Yeah. I think it's kind of south from the roundabout there.
So where you have the hashing, there's an established retaining wall.
Okay.
Where you have the hash marks, there's an established retaining wall, and I think they're looking to narrow and try to accommodate in front of that so that they wouldn't have to redo it. But again, I have to sense that is they're trying to meet a requirement, right? And I don't know that this is something that they're super keen on doing if they don't have to, kind of thing.
And that's the reason that there have been the conversations, is they're asking, why do we have to do that now?
They are asking those
and
questions?
the impact, that's been part of the discussions here because it was in that original agreement, as you pointed out, there.
Yeah.
But it is a requirement per our subdivision improvement agreement and the ordinances. And that's why the third phase from the roundabout out to Glacier Valley, gives them more time to kind of sort out what is the future of that area, because it doesn't just front on their land, it also fronts on the land of the Blaney parcel as well.
So if we don't, so they are not going to be opposed to our recommendation.
Mike has no comment.
I don't necessarily want to speak for them, but of course we've had conversations about the need, for this, but we're balancing our requirements for our ordinances with the subdivision improvement agreement, as well. So that's probably a call for the policymakers, to make.
Are they ready to ask for occupancy at this point?
I think they're getting close. I don't know exactly what the date is.
I don't know the exact date, but going into late October probably makes me nervous based on, I think they're looking for occupancy, probably sometime in October. That's why I was trying to get a hold of Chad to see if he got more up-to-date information.
So instead of, because we've been talking as a group to postpone, but that may not be advantageous for the applicant. If we were to deny this, it still has to go to council. If we deny it, it's still, I should clarify that, it still does go to council and they still have a chance to vote on it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if we want, I would say, what I might propose is not postponing it so that we don't hose up their ability to get occupancy. And instead, if we don't feel like this is something that we should be supporting, we could vote against it and give that then to council to react to and use that as, information for their own. And what I'm trying to do is buy us a little bit of time, because staff can do a lot of work between now and then when this goes to council.
I also have to imagine that they would appreciate the opportunity to not pay for any sidewalks and still gain occupancy in that timeline. I mean, there's a lot of potential benefit to be gained here. So I like that proposal a lot.
Okay.
Could I just offer just a friendly suggestion? Could you maybe clarify, though, kind of the thought process or the rationale? Because if it goes back that it was just denied, I think it might be helpful for the council to have kind of some perspective.
Well, that's what our council representative is here to do.
Of why you denied it?
I will articulate that.
That's why we have council representation on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will represent that.
Okay.
That position quite clearly.
And the flip side of that is if Public Works says, no, we absolutely need this for this reason, we would want to have something that still could be used as leverage, because once we give them occupancy, we want to make sure that we have something. But with this whole phased approach, I just want to make sure that if it flips back the other way and there is a really good rationale, we do want to have it. We want to have, just like anything with our developers, have a way to be able to control that, right? And not once they have occupancy and we say we're done, it's really hard to go back and say, now put this in, right? So I'm hoping that you guys can do a lot of work or figure this out before it goes to council so that you guys are making a more informed decision than we are right now.
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
So I sorry to beat a dead horse, but this agreement is talking about a bike path. It's not access path. It keeps talking about an 8-foot bike path. So I still question if it's intended to be a bike path plus a sidewalk. But also, if it's in the ordinances, you need a variance? What is the process? Unless council's going to do a whole new ordinance too.
I don't know exactly if it is the 5-foot. I'll have to look. I don't know. I can't tell you, Shelley. I don't know.
Okay, so we need to move on. So you can move your motion.
I'll move to, I think we typically will do them as approving, and then we can all vote against it if everyone's okay with that. I will move to approve Resolution R-160-23.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye. All those in opposition, say nay.
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 Okay, the motion was denied. Thank you.
And I will also say the council meeting is next week, September 26th. And if any of the commission members want to come on Zoom and articulate that as well, I would welcome that. Thanks.
Okay, so we are at the end of the action items. So now,
not quite, but
what?
Well, you'll have to vote on
What?
for your nomination.
Oh, okay. So before, so we can move to 5L. You know what I mean? Before. So
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, can we do that? So before Diana does her presentation. So 5L, we need to have we need to appoint someone from Plan Commission to the Transportation and Transit Commission. Richard was our rep there, but since Richard resigned, so we need to have one person there. So I want to mention this. TTC meets 10 times a year at 6:30 p.m. the second Thursday of every month. So the commitment is kind of high, okay? So 10 times a year, and the meeting starts at 6:30, and I am not going to confirm how long this meeting goes.
They're typically about 2 hours,
2
I would
hours,
say.
okay? So right now I am opening here I am opening the floor to see if any one of you wants to be appointed to this commission. Gabriela?
I am willing to serve. I've been on TTC in the past, and I'm certainly open to it. I do like TTC. That being said, if anybody is interested in participating, it's a really interesting committee, and I would welcome somebody else taking that on if they're interested in it.
I believe it has to be a citizen member. So does that allow one of the alders? Or does it have to be a non-alder?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that was for chair, and I did look that one up.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
I think it's for the chair or vice chair cannot be an alder.
Yeah. Okay. So already Shelley representing Plan in Ag and Rural Affair,
Right, and just as an aside, my daughter is on TTC, and in case we wouldn't agree on everything for family harmony, I would not want to be on it with her.
Okay, Shelley scratched.
Okay, so, I don't know. Gabriela is the one who is, I don't know. Steven, do you have any, you consider, no? No?
Not especially interested, I would say, no.
Okay. Okay. So you're going there. So I need a motion to approve Gabriela Herhard to be the Plan Commission representative in TTC. I need a motion.
I move to approve Gabriela to be the Plan Commission representative for TTC.
Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, sorry. Do you have any interest?
I can't. I don't have time to take on another meeting. I wish I could, but I just don't.
Okay.
I second the motion.
So you're the only one. All those in favor appointing Gabriela to be our rep in TTC, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay, congratulations. You're going to another commission. So this is what I expect, because I don't see that in some commission. I expect that you, Gabriela, at the end of the agenda, also tell us what happened in TTC, okay? Because
I'd be delighted to do that.
We don't, and also for you, Shelley, I would like you at the end of the agenda, we should have, like you mentioned, what happened in the meeting that you represent. If there is some relevant information that we need to know, okay? Because I don't think that we are doing this,
You would like to add an item in the agenda?
Yeah. Did you catch that? It's 5 minutes, 5 minutes in, you know what I mean? 2 minutes.
For now, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, so Ag and Rural Affairs met, and I was late because I had the time wrong, but I got the gist of the discussion, and it was they would like the resolution regarding the private wells that was passed by council. They would like to expand the ordinances to allow for a repair or replacement of a private well on ag land now that otherwise would not be allowed to be permitted. That wasn't said very clearly, but
you got it.
But yes, so they want to be able to replace their current wells, which have been grandfathered in, so to speak. If they fail and it has to be repaired or replaced, they want the permission to do that.
But so my question is. But they have the main water in front of their houses.
Yes, they're assuming that the main is there and that they would otherwise be required to connect to the main. They don't think it's fair that, they feel that they should be grandfathered, their wells should be grandfathered in. So even as they are now, but the grandfathering should continue if they need to replace or repair that well.
Yeah, that one is going to be for some discussion.
That's a common council recommendation, or who's the one?
That was the Agricultural and Rural Affairs Commission's recommendation.
Right. Sorry. To this committee, are we the ones who decide?
No, I think it had to go to. There should be a change in ordinance that it had to be, put together by staff and bring it back to commissions, several commissions.
It'll have to go to staff now.
And it had to go to staff, and then it's something that we need to determine if the staff has the capacity right now to do this, because they are working in other projects right now that have priority, and then it has to be a change of ordinance. It takes time, and then it had to be run through a couple of. Yeah. It's a long process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
That's great to know. Thank you. I would just want to make sure that we're discussing reassessment at those time points, because I think those are also one of the biggest risks to multiple level aquifers. So great. Thank you.
Yeah. So okay. Thank you, Shelley. Okay. So that's it. So next.
Okay, let me run through just briefly. Staff. Actually. Let me get my notes put together here. At the June 2023 Mayor's Innovation Project, the mayor met with Lori DePreti Brown, who is a member of the teaching facility faculty at UW-Madison, and she taught a course called Global Health and Communities this summer. The class has wrapped up. And this presented a wonderful opportunity for Fitchburg to work with her students, Emma Broadwick, Paola Chavez, and Mary Minnis. And they put together an excellent review of some of our planning documents through the lens of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And so I think I attached the report for you. There are 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. This allows, this is an excellent opportunity for the city to put a new lens and a new approach to our planning, especially as we're beginning our neighborhood plans and looking to do the comp plan later next year. So with that eye towards equity and well-being, a more holistic approach and progress, and that connection from global to local. And specifically, our student team focused on Sustainable Development Goal number 11, which is to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, and resilient. So they focused on 3 areas for us. They focused on housing, transportation, and land use. So things like ensuring safe, adequate, affordable housing, protecting cultural and natural heritage, safe, accessible, sustainable transport systems, reducing environmental impact of our cities, sustainable urbanism, and then universal access to safe, inclusive, accessible parks and play spaces. I'm going to skip around a little bit, but one of the cool things that they did, they looked specifically at our Healthy Neighborhoods initiative. These are 3 of our 4 priority neighborhoods. As you all know, we now have 4 priority neighborhoods that now includes Southdale. But they looked at our Healthy Neighborhoods initiative. This is a little bit more background. And then they also looked at transportation through the lens of sustainable development, specifically in terms of fostering inclusivity, supporting economic development, creating opportunities, equitable, local, and structured around resident options. This was kind of cool. One of the students specifically looked at how easy it would be to get from the Boys and Girls Club in Allied down to Fitchburg Public Library. And of course, she found that it wasn't terribly easy to do that unless you have a car. So part of the recommendations that are coming out of here is to look at how we can improve our transportation systems. This is where the students talked about kind of an innovative, and this was new to me, approach of community engagement called a walk-along. So it literally is that. The planners, staff would literally go into neighborhoods and just walk along with residents and people who live there to understand how they live there, what's important, what they appreciate, what they would like to see. So they call it a walk-along. So that was one of the recommendations. Another area that they looked more closely at was housing, and making sure we have sufficient affordable housing. They also suggested that tool of walk-along, that we could kind of understand what's happening in our neighborhoods. Land use was the third area. You can kind of see our greenfield. They used one of our maps from the ag plan. They did take a look at our agricultural plan that Fitchburg has. And one of the things that we talked quite a bit about is how agriculture is such a vital importance to what Fitchburg is, and how that is very important to the identity. So thinking about greenfield growth, grayfield growth, and farmland zones. And then they also talked about our successful adaptive reuse. So the former dairy processing center, the Bowman Processing Center that is now Terrace Point, of course, was a really good example of that adaptive use. One of the recommendations is for the city to look more closely at what is referred to as the 15-minute city, that would prioritize access to needs within, so education, healthcare, food, housing, culture, leisure within a 15 minutes of walking, biking, or busing. And then they also are suggesting to the city to even push farther our successes in solar development and suggesting some opportunities to remove any additional barriers to green energy. They have suggested to us that we might look at Honolulu as an example of moving forward with solar and green energy. That they also suggested to us to do that walk-along idea in terms of land development. And then they put together a couple of really cool posters for us to kind of generate some ideas and discussions. So I think that gives you all kind of a high level. They put together a report for us, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do they think that we are, doing some of those sustainable goals? You know what I mean? That we are.
Yeah.
That we are, how we are doing, compared, you know what I mean? Like, where are the areas? I know that they focus on housing, transportation, and land use, but the idea is how we are, comparing, what I mean? If there are areas where we really, really need to do something because we are not,
So I didn't go too deep into this, and the students didn't have a whole lot of time to really dig into this. But this is the Sustainable Development Crosswalk. So this is for the Sustainable Development Goal. And then within that, there are several different parts of the Sustainable Development Goals. Which include like safe access to housing, access to safe inclusion. You can kind of see that. And so their evaluation is we're pretty much on target on transportation and land use for 11.5. We're developing in the lighter blue. So for example, 11.3, we're doing pretty good. We're moving in the right direction. 11.2, in terms of housing, the students have assessed us of either not being addressed or they didn't have data. So does that kind of crosswalk make sense of their evaluation of us?
Okay. Oh, we have a lot of whites.
Yeah, but also there's a lot of blue. I mean, we're working towards things.
It's good. Yeah.
So, is this will this report be shared with the group that's going to be doing the sustainability assessment for the city?
I didn't cross my mind on that, but thank you.
I think there's a lot of I think a number of these boxes are going to be things that are going to get hit on that assessment. And I think, this. I think there's going to be a great further crosswalk on this one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. We will make sure that gets directed. We'll make sure this report gets directed to that team.
Yeah, I'm also going to plan to share that out at RCC at our next meeting, and then also I think TTC should take a look at it as well, just given the fact that there's so many transportation
Very good.
considerations. Yeah, I'll make sure I mention it at our next meeting. Yeah, this is really great.
Yeah.
And I like the specificity. And is this available on our website at all, or is this only?
Yeah, just recording the video, isn't it? Yeah.
I have
the
it
website.
Up.
Okay.
I have it up on my OneDrive, but let me find a good spot for it.
But
we'll get it posted up on the website.
They did a presentation and they recorded, isn't it?
Yes, we do have the recording of the presentation.
There is a link, yes.
But,
so maybe you can share.
I can share. It's all up on my OneDrive, but I haven't actually put it on the city's website. But we'll work on that. Yep.
Yeah, I think this is great, and this is something that this is good information that we also need to share with our residents, that we are doing this type of project. It's free, we have a great resources here in town that is the university, and, and also working with the mayor's innovation project here is a center at UW that I am part, doing a training there to as a mayor, and it's incredible the amount of information that is there to help municipality in different topics. And, and I think we need to take advantage of all these resources that we have here, with the university. So
Similarly, is there an update? I know there was some discussion around participating in the University Alliance program and having the city of Fitchburg potentially partner with them. It's another program similar to this, much more in-depth, 3 years running.
I think there is I think the council approved some ARPA fund money to join that.
Okay.
After the budget is done, the council is going to take a look again to the investment plan to determine, if we are going to move forward with that too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I think that we allocate some money for that. It's a subscription, isn't it? Yeah. It's a membership.
Yeah, I mean, the model is basically, and I'd be happy to serve as liaison or inform this because I have some experience with it at the university. You would have to commit a certain amount of funds and a certain amount of staff time, and then the expectation is that they would partner you with, similar to this, like a capstone course in either the engineering school or something else at the university, and they'd run a much kind of deeper, more broad, comprehensive version of this. But you also get input on kind of the sub-disciplinaries, like they pitch you 5, and then I think you can kind of pick the ones you'd like them to focus on. So I think it would be kind of a more amplified version of this, which I think might be valuable.
I know that the city was elected for another capstone. Mike left.
I can talk about that.
You can talk? Okay.
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever you're ready for that.
Yeah, you're ready.
We're ready. Okay, so I'm going to jump into the department report.
Yeah.
And I'll pick up right with that. The staff put in last month an application to do UW-Madison student capstone. So that is where a student in landscape architecture or planning, a senior in their bachelor program, does a 2-semester-long actual real-world project. Fortunately, our Fitchburg's proposal was accepted, and we have a wonderful student that we just started working with today. The project is over on Uptown or Nine Springs and doing a visioning, placemaking, rethinking of the area around Lacey, Sherrill, and Central Park Place. We're pulling together a steering committee that will include property owners there, potential developers, and we're really hoping that it will kind of reinvigorate this area with some really new and insightful ideas from our student to kickstart development over there. So, like I said, we literally today just met with our student Bree, and I will let you know kind of what our schedule and timeline is. Right now, we're tentatively proposing a public, mostly focused with the steering committee, a design charrette in mid-October that would follow up with a public meeting to kind of go over what was looked at in the design charrette. And then Bree will wrap up this semester with kind of her broad programming of the site and her broad proposals. Next semester, she digs right into everything from roads and stormwater to landscape and a more detailed planning process. So we're really excited. I will keep you all in the loop as meetings are scheduled and things are moving on that project.
Okay, great.
Okay, couple other things. Brad is continuing to work on the Parks and Open Space Plan, so staff is continuing to work on the Parks and Open Space Plan. That, I think, will end up getting referred out to all the different committees coming up really soon. It will come to Plan Commission. Last one on my list, the neighborhood plans. Council has approved the agreement with MSA to start our neighborhood plans for South Stoner Prairie and Greenfield, so really excited about that. We did get the cost share agreement figured out, so we're all good to go. staff, probably 2 weeks ago already, had our initial kickoff meeting with the consultants, and yesterday we had our first staff meeting with the Public Works team to start talking about utilities, sewer, water, roads, and how that is all going to, the planning process is going to work with that. I will be bringing regular updates to you as we move through the planning process, and we'll definitely keep you up to date on all the public meetings and meetings coming ahead. So more to come. Just keep that on your radar.
And, that reminds me that Deanna gave this update to Rural and Ag, and when they looked at Greenfield and the big space and all the farmland, there's a lot of insecurity among them that ag, a lot of the ag land is not going to be protected.
Oh, so. Really? Mm-hmm. I don't think that, I don't know that South Stoner Prairie was but Greenfield, there's some concern about protecting ag land.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, so thank you everyone. And then I need a motion to adjourn. Oh, our next meeting will be October 17th. Okay. So
I move to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Any opposed? We are adjourned at, 8:36. Thank you. Bye. Bye, Zach.